Enough Vega-Flores, and this project is an Institute for Borders and Boundaries located in the downtown Tucson Arts Warehouse District. Tucson has always been a frontier community. It has a long history of continuously redefined boundaries, starting with the territorialization of land by native tribes, to the Spanish missions of the Tucson Presidio, the railroad and the cultures and goods brought with it, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, and finally the Gaston Purchase. Currently, the border and immigration issues are at controversy in Tucson due to its proximity to the Tucson U.S.-Mexico border. The approach for this institute's program is a grassroots organization based on the idea that there is oftentimes a disconnect between policymakers and people who actually live in the border reality. The architectural design of the institute will follow a bottom-up method rather than a top-down strategy, attempting to combine smaller life characteristics and patterns into a harmonious whole. This building is intended to provide a place for dialogue between the institute and the public. The institute is meant for people to access for information, for help, and to be able to work with researchers regarding border policy. It acts as a mediator between policy and public, and strives to empower the community to inform themselves and have resources to information regarding border policy. The design approach established to create grassroots architecture for this project begins with the institute's relationship to the street, the transparency the institute holds towards the public, permeability of subcultures, and circulation around and through the building. In one of his writings, Teddy Cruz refers to an institution having a specialized knowledge, whereas the public has this sort of ethical knowledge. And so this theory applies to this project in that researchers have a very specific research-based experience on border issues and policy, whereas the public, especially in this region, experiences the border realities in their daily lives. The Border Institute's relationship to the street seeks to activate the ground level surrounding the institute to allow the public to cohabitate on site with the researchers, admin, and sometimes policymakers. The first step in accomplishing this was in regards to the residential components of the program. So rather than placing the residential units in a secluded private area, they've been placed on the most public zone of the site, facing the street. So this decision was made to allow for spontaneous interactions between the institute and the public, but also to soften the institution perception of this institute. The west side of the site comprises of a community park that utilizes a standalone cafe to draw in commerce and lingering in public space, with the residential components creating the street and the institute acting as a backdrop behind it, with public space interweaving through them. It is clear that the focus of the site design is on the interaction of the community with the site. Transparency is another vital theme for this design that occurs from the exterior as well as the interior of the site, or of the institute. The south facade consists of a double skin system comprising of a glass curtain wall, as well as a second skin louver system that allows for moments of transparency from the street and plaza, while maintaining protection from the south sun during the day. On the interior, the institute acts as a large open box, allowing for visitors and workers to have a view across the entire building and into the working spaces when inhabiting each level. The north facade consists of a curtain wall as well, exposed to the city, however, to allow for a view from the interior of the institute, as well as these lookout breakout spaces overhanging towards the railroad. The second skin system curtain wall on the north allows for some sound relief from the train, but most importantly, it continues as a glass skin on the north that, with the use of semi-reflective glass, allows for a reflection of the city on the north facade of the building. The building itself, again, focusing on the public, reflecting the Tucson community. The third theme for the institute is that of permeability. From the exterior and scale of the site, the design breaks up the building into several buildings and interweaving outdoor public space. The interior is also established as separate spaces that can open up to each other to create one large box. According to Christopher Alexander's pattern language, he addresses two relevant patterns: mosaic of subcultures and subculture boundary. Mosaic of subcultures speaks of enriching cultures and subcultures by breaking them up into a mosaic of small and different subcultures. To break them up is required a subculture boundary. This boundary allows them to live at full intensity next to each other. Therefore, a physical boundary should separate subcultures, but remain permeable enough for individuals to move between them and be able to choose to move between different subcultures. On the first level, the library and the research space are on the west end of the lobby space, and the exhibit shop and the exhibit admin are on the left. The library space and research space can either be closed off as their own separate entities or open up to each other with the use of large sliding glass doors. On the second level, the same condition is present with the admin space here in the research space, as well through the use of sliding glass doors. On the third level, this flexible black box type lecture space can be looked into from the exhibit spaces, or it can be blacked out as well as if needed. Lastly, the circulation patterns through the Institute take a vital role in encouraging spontaneous interactions. Vertical circulation is restricted to one main stair in the central lobby space, with the inclusion of 2 exit stairs at each end, not intended for main circulation other than as safety exits. Transitions between spaces is along the southern edge, providing one main circulation path through which everyone passes and interacts with each other. The same strategy is used for the restrooms, which are all located in the same spot, stacked on each level, and only one per floor is available at the slightly off central lobby space. This is similar to the President's study of Pixar Studios, in which Steve Jobs placed 2 essential spaces, all restrooms and mailboxes, at the center of the building to cause for interaction between all departments. The Border Institute is specifically intended to give voice to the real human experience of borders around the world by inviting and uniting grassroots organizations with the aim at fostering dialogue and understanding. This institute is born of the idea that people who live in the border condition fully understand and have equal voice in the dialogue of the border question. This is embodied architecturally through the refocus of the architecture on the people, through the provision of public space, transparency of the workings of the institute, permeability of the institute's specialized culture and public culture, and the encouragement of spontaneous interaction through the movement of people.